All right, get ready to dive deep because this week we are all about Minecraft's latest snapshot 25w06a. We're going straight to the source for this deep dive, the official release notes. And let me tell you, they are packed with some really interesting stuff. New chicken variants, a mysterious cactus flower. I'm excited to break it all down.
Yeah, this is a great deep dive for anyone who wants a sneak peek at what's coming up in Minecraft or just likes to get into the details of how the game is made.
So first up, something that caught my eye right away in the release notes. Chickens are getting a little bit more complex. Apparently, they're becoming climate conscious now.
Yeah, that's right. We're getting warm chickens, cold chickens, and the classic temperate chickens. And they're all linked to specific biomes. It's a really neat change because it means you won't just be finding chickens everywhere randomly anymore. They'll actually be adapted to their environments, which makes the world feel more realistic and immersive.
So does this mean I'm going to have to start building heated chicken coops in snowy biomes now? What happens if a warm chicken wanders into the frozen tundra?
Thankfully, no spontaneous combustion or anything like that. But it does mean that breeding and farming chickens just got a lot more interesting. You'll need to consider the environment of each variant and make sure they're in the right place to thrive. Oh, and here's the really cool part. Each chicken variant actually lays a different colored egg.
Whoa! Colored eggs? Seriously?
Yeah. Yep. Blue eggs for cold chickens, brown eggs for warm chickens, and the classic white eggs for temperate chickens.
So now I'm imagining players creating these elaborate, climate-controlled chicken farms just to specialize in rare egg colors.
Exactly. I can already see people setting up trading posts, selling rare blue eggs, 10 diamonds each.
This is amazing. It's a small change that could have a big impact on how people play the game, especially on multiplayer servers, where players are always looking for an edge in trading.
And it's not just chickens either. This whole biome-specific variant system applies to other animals, like pigs and cows. It's a subtle but important change for bringing more biodiversity and realism to the Minecraft world.
Okay, I'm completely sold on the chicken update. But the release notes mention some other interesting changes too, like deserts are getting a makeover.
You got it. Deserts and badlands are getting some new plant life, short and tall dry grass. It's mostly a visual upgrade to add more variety and texture to those biomes.
But wait, you can use bone meal on the short dry grass to grow it into tall dry grass, right? Kind of like you do with saplings.
That's right. So you can actually cultivate fields of this stuff if you want. It could be a cool alternative to regular grass for landscaping, especially in desert builds.
Oh, and I bet it can be used as fuel for smelting too, just like regular dead bushes.
Yep, that's another practical use for it.
All right, now onto something that has me totally intrigued. The cactus flower. A pink flower that only grows on cacti under very specific conditions. It sounds almost mythical.
It's pretty unique. You only find it naturally on cacti in deserts and badlands. But you can actually place it on any block that has center support, like fences or walls, for example.
So you could build a whole garden of cactus flowers. Or decorate sandstone temples and pyramids with them.
Exactly. And the coolest part is that you can use it to craft pink dye.
Pink dye! That's interesting.
Trust me, it's going to open up a ton of possibilities for decorating.
Okay, I'm listening.
Think about it. Pink armor, pink tools, pink banners, pink wool blocks, pink stained glass. You can now add a touch of pink to pretty much any build.
I see where you're going with this. This is going to be huge for the players who are really into customizing their looks and their builds. I wonder if you can mix the pink dye with other dyes to make even more colors.
That's something for players to experiment with. We've only just scratched the surface of what's new in this snapshot. There are a lot more details to dig into, especially some of the technical changes that are coming.
Ooh, technical changes. You know we love to geek out about that stuff.
Well, one of the biggest changes is the expanded random tick range. And this actually has huge implications for how the game works, especially for players who love to build massive farms or complex redstone contraptions.
Okay, now you've got my attention. Explain it to me like I'm a villager who's never seen redstone before.
All right, so you know how certain things in Minecraft happen gradually over time, right? Things like crops growing, ice melting, or mushrooms spreading. That's all controlled by something called the random tick speed.
So it's like the internal clock of the Minecraft world, making sure things don't all change instantly.
That's a good way to put it. But before this update, those random ticks only happened within a certain distance of the player. So if you had a massive farm far away from your base, those crops wouldn't actually grow unless you were nearby to trigger those ticks.
You're telling me that my farms have basically been frozen in time all this while if I wasn't around.
In a way, yes, it was a technical limitation. But now, with the expanded random tick range, things can happen much farther away from the player. So imagine giant self-sustaining farms that run themselves, or redstone contraptions that span entire biomes.
Wow, the possibilities are kind of mind-blowing. This is going to change how people approach large-scale builds. But wait a minute, we're just getting started, right? There's more to unpack in this snapshot.
Absolutely. We haven't even touched on the Firefly Bush sound update,
Hmm.
or the updated data pack and resource pack versions, or all the bug fixes. We should probably take a break and come back to those in the next part of our deep dive.
Yeah, let's do that. Stay tuned, listeners, because we're just getting warmed up.
Welcome back, everyone. We're still exploring all the cool new stuff coming in Minecraft Snapshot 25w06a.
And I'm still thinking about those climate-specific chickens. I can't believe we have to think about biomes and temperatures now when we're setting up our chicken coops.
Right. It really adds a new layer of strategy to something that used to be so simple.
I'm already imagining players becoming like chicken experts, breeding specific variants for their unique traits, like maybe cold chickens lay eggs that are better for baking cakes or something.
Exactly. Or maybe warm chicken feathers are the best for crafting arrows. Who knows? It's all up to the players to figure out how to best utilize these new chicken variants. And with multiplayer servers, you know people are going to come up with some really creative strategies.
Speaking of creative strategies, let's talk about that expanded random tick range. How does that impact players who are into building massive farms or complicated redstone contraptions?
Okay, so picture this. You've built this incredible automated farm miles away from your base. Before this update, your crops wouldn't grow unless you were physically nearby to trigger those random ticks.
So I'd have to constantly run back and forth just to make sure my farm was actually working.
Basically, yeah. It was kind of a pain, especially if you had a really large farm.
So this new random tick range is a game changer for those players.
It is. Now your farm can thrive even when you're off exploring or building something else. It's like having a team of invisible farm hands taking care of everything for you.
That's awesome. And it's not just farms, right? What about those crazy redstone contraptions that people build?
This update could lead to some seriously epic redstone builds. Imagine sprawling networks that span across entire biomes, controlling all sorts of things. Before this update, the range of those contraptions was limited by how far those random ticks could reach.
So now players can really let their imaginations run wild.
Exactly. It's all about expanding the possibilities and giving players more freedom to create.
And it's not just the big changes that are exciting, right? There are all those smaller details that add to the overall experience.
That's right. We've got the new dry grass for deserts, updated sounds for the firefly bush. It's all about making the world feel more immersive and realistic.
Oh, speaking of details, can we talk more about that cactus flower? I'm really curious about how that pink dye is going to be used.
I think it has the potential to be a really big deal. It's not just about having pink armor and tools. Think about all the different blocks and items you can now customize with a touch of pink.
You're right. Pink banners? Pink stained glass? Pink wool blocks? The possibilities are endless.
Exactly. It's going to be really interesting to see what kind of creative designs people come up with.
So we've talked about a lot of exciting stuff for builders and redstone enthusiasts, but is there anything in this snapshot for the more technically minded players?
Absolutely. The updated data pack and resource pack versions might not seem that exciting at first glance, but they're super important for the modding community.
Ah, so this ensures that all the amazing mods out there can be updated to work with the new features.
That's right. It's like giving modders new tools to work with, which means even more cool stuff for players to enjoy.
It's like this constant cycle of creativity and innovation within the Minecraft community.
Exactly. And that's one of the things that makes Minecraft so special. It's always evolving.
And let's not forget about the bug fixes. Those are just as important as the new feature.
You're absolutely right. This snapshot addressed a whole bunch of issues, big and small. They even fixed a bug where tamed animals weren't being added to teams properly.
Oh, wow. That sounds like it could have been really frustrating for some players.
It definitely was. And there was another bug where an achievement was categorized under the wrong game mode.
Really? Which achievement was that?
It was Country Load Take Me Home. It's actually an overworld achievement, but it was listed under the Nether. So it was causing some confusion for players who were trying to complete all the achievements.
I bet those players are relieved that it's finally been fixed. It's great that the developers pay attention to even the smallest details.
It shows that they really care about creating the best possible experience for all players.
Okay, so we've covered a lot of ground in this snapshot, but there's still more to talk about, right? Like that new game rule about fire spreading, that sounds pretty intense.
Oh yeah, that one has the potential to be chaotic. We'll dive into that and some other technical bits in the next part of our deep dive.
And we're back for the final part of our deep dive into Minecraft Snapshot 25w06a.
That's right, we've talked climate-controlled chickens, pink dye, mega farms.
But now it's time to get into the really technical stuff. Like that game rule you mentioned, the one that sounds like it could set the whole world on fire.
Ah, yes. You're talking about allow fire ticks away from player.
It sounds a little intimidating, to be honest.
It's not as complicated as the name suggests. Basically, it determines whether fire and lava can spread and burn, even when no players are around within 8 chunks.
Wait, hold on. So you're saying that up until now, fire in Minecraft needed a player to be nearby to keep burning?
In a way, yes. It was a technical limitation to keep things from getting too out of control. But with this new game rule, server admins and map makers, or even just you in your single-player world, can decide whether fire follows those old rules or becomes a bit more independent.
Independent fire. That sounds amazing, but also kind of terrifying.
It definitely adds a whole new level of challenge and unpredictability to the game.
I can already imagine the possibilities for adventure maps and survival challenges.
Oh yeah, think about a forest fire raging out of control, forcing players to adapt and think on their feet.
Or a survival scenario where you have to carefully manage fire to prevent it from spreading and destroying your base.
It's a really cool addition that could lead to some really unique and memorable gameplay experiences.
And it's another example of how a seemingly small technical change can open up a world of creativity for players. Speaking of which, those updated data pack and resource pack versions are pretty important too, right? Especially for the modding community.
Absolutely. It might not seem like the most exciting thing at first glance, but those updated version numbers ensure that all the incredible mods and resource packs out there can be updated to work with all the new features in this snapshot.
It's like giving modders a fresh set of tools to play with, which ultimately means even more cool stuff for players to enjoy.
And it really highlights that amazing cycle of creativity and collaboration that we see in the Minecraft community.
But let's not forget about those all-important bug fixes, because a smooth and polished gameplay experience is just as crucial as all the new bells and whistles.
You're right, and this snapshot addresses a good range of issues. They even fixed something as small as a misplaced transparent pixel on wildflowers.
Wow, they really are paying attention to the details.
It shows a real dedication to quality. And of course, they fixed some more gameplay-affecting bugs too, like tamed animals not being added to teams correctly, which was a pretty annoying one.
And that miscategorized achievement, Country Load, Take Me Home, it's finally in the right place.
It's all about making the game as enjoyable and frustration-free as possible.
So as we wrap up this deep dive into Minecraft Snapshot 25w06a, what's the big takeaway?
I think the overarching theme here is evolution. This snapshot takes existing mechanics and pushes them even further, whether it's expanding the random tick range, giving us new creative tools like pink dye, or just squashing bugs. It's all about refining and expanding what makes Minecraft so great.
It's about giving players more freedom and more opportunities to express their creativity.
And it shows that the developers are constantly listening to feedback and working to make the game even better.
Absolutely. So to all you Minecrafters out there, dive into this new snapshot and see what you can create.
We can't wait to see what the community comes up with.
Happy crafting, everyone. Thanks for joining us for this